Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome to everyone that are watching this video. In this video, it's going to be a presentation of TSLB3273 English Language Awareness Assignment Task 1 that are going to be presented by me, Zain Bazli Amin bin Zain Hazmi from PISMP TSLD 2023-2028. For this assignment task, we were given a task that we are supposed to present of a certain topic of based on English language awareness subject. And the task that we got, we are going to present about context. Let's go to the next slide. Now, before we are going to the main objective of this presentation, I will be exposing you a little bit about definition of context. Based on Cambridge Dictionary, the definition of context is the situation within which something exists or happens and that can help explain it or the influences and events related to a particular event or situation. In simple terms, context is basically something that related to each other, related to in terms of settings, place, behavior, language, the environment, the situation, the people in it. It represents something that show the context of the things. For example, we're talking about the context of classroom. We have a chaotic student talking, we have textbook, exercise book, we have teachers, manners, discipline, and everything that related that represent the classroom itself. We're talking about supermarket, we have a lot of things such as vegetable, fruit, people talking about money and negotiate what to buy. They have raw fish, raw beef, and a lot of things that represent the place itself. So we're talking about context, even though it's maybe a simple thing, but we are going to go deeply, further deep in terms of context. So we're going to learn more about context. When we talk about context, there are three types of context, which is situational context, cultural context, and interpersonal context. But in this presentation, inside this video, there will be two parts containing two main focus of the context, which is cultural context and interpersonal context. I will be taking two or three just to emphasize it on just these two parts. So let's continue on the first point of our presentation. The first part is cultural context. When we talk about culture, when we heard the word culture itself, we imagine something related to religions, different kind of races, belief, their own behavior, ethics, their own units, language, and a lot of things that represent culture, different kind of culture. But when we talk about cultural context, it also means the same thing but different to show that a certain context of a certain culture. So let's start with the definition of cultural context. What is cultural context actually mean? Well, the meaning is cultural context encompasses the cultural background that affects an individual's lifestyle and choices. This includes societal norms, historical influences, and shared belief within the community. So, for example, we take Malaysia, right? Have a lot of region, variety of religions and races. So in Malaysia, we just take a common one, which is Malay, English, Malay, Chinese, and Indian. Okay, in these three, they have their own cultural context. For example, Malay, they have their own clothes, their own behavior, their own understanding using their own language. And Chinese, they talk in Chinese, they have their own manners and behavior, their own ethics. So it's different and it's show their own lifestyle individuals for how Malays live, how Indians live, and how Chinese live. They also include a different kind of religion, different of races for other country. Okay. For example, right, we take this sticky note over here. The way individuals communicate can be very significantly based on their cultural context. For instance, high context cultures such as Japan rely heavily on non-verbal cues and surrounding environment for meaning, while low context cultures such as the United States emphasize explicit verbal communication. This going a little bit further deep about cultural context, where there has not just between races but between kind of people. For example, cultural context we also have like we have Malaysian, like in Malaysia we have different kind of races needs, but other country they have maybe one races, one type of religion and people, but they have their own differences, which is like their own lifestyle. For example, the rich and the poor are in the middle. They have their own context, which show the different things. For example, the city area have their own context. Between the urban area have a different context with rural areas. Rural areas outside the country, and this urban area is inside the country. So they have their own context, which is really different. And if we want to understand it, it's going to be different. I'm going to show you example after this of a video of what kind of cultural context can be between different races.
Alangkah indah.
Hello. 你是我们班的哈？哈？是不是？My name is Haikal.
Haka?
Haikal.
Oh, I know! It's Hakami! Hakami!
Oh, I like Hakami. My mommy always make for me, but with beef or chicken, not pork, because I cannot eat pork.
我问你咩？讲这样多。Huh?
Are you banana? Banana?
You don't know what is banana?
Oh, I know the fruit lah. You want?
My father say Chinese people don't know how to speak Chinese is banana. Let's go.
So, after watching the video, let's make a bit of reflective to the video to make a better understanding of what we want to analyze from this video. So, inside the video, we see that there's three people. There's one kids and which is Malay kids, and there's two more kids which is Chinese. So, this Malay kid just want to make friend, want to talk with these two Chinese kids, but then these Chinese kids make fun of him. Why? Because he doesn't understand Chinese. So in this context, we can see that from the cultural context perspective, we can see that only the Chinese people understand what they're talking about. For example, about the Hakami, right? They make fun of him for the first time. When he wanted to introduce himself as Haikal to the Chinese kid, but then two of them talk about Hakami, and then the kid is confused, which is the Malay one. Haikal is confused, and he think about what Hakka, and then when say Hakka only he understand. So sometimes a certain context from different culture, right, can we understand from each other as long as they know, as long as they exposed to it. But what about the next part? When the girl talk about banana, we know that banana is a fruit, right? A yellow fruit. But in Chinese, they said that all Chinese people only understand this, that if the person doesn't understand Chinese language and doesn't know how to speak Chinese, they call as banana. For Malaysia, we doesn't understand. For Malay people, we doesn't understand what banana means. We only know that banana is fruit. From this context, we can see that only Chinese people understand what banana meaning when we are present that word to the people that who doesn't know how to speak Malay. Okay, so the Malay people cannot understand. So this will create a barrier between each culture, because they will make a certain barrier where they cannot understand each other language. If we see that Malay talk in Malay and English, in Chinese they talk in Chinese in for their own language. They doesn't speak Malay much. So when they speak Chinese, we can understand what they're talking about. Or when they speak English, we understand because we're exposed to the English language. So this cultural context create a barrier for them. So they cannot understand what the person is saying, but the some of the word will meaning a different thing. Like so Malay we have slang, accent, we have a few word like a short term word, and then our own use like certain people, and then we just lah, like lah, I think lah sebab lah, and then right. So they have their own culture and they have context of in time of language. So let's talk a bit more on the next slide. So we take an example that related to a Malaysian primary school classroom. So we know that primary school in Malaysia we have a lot of kids and students, right? And not just that, we also combine with a different variety of region and races. So inside of that, we are came from a different kind of background, right? Different of culture backgrounds. Some person with riches and a lot of money, they have wealth in their family. Then some of them just a normal students who doesn't have a lot of money but also doesn't have less money. They just can maintain their own life. So between this each different person, they have their own kind of different communication. Maybe this one we're going to talk about something that doesn't even understand Why just a mere students, just a normal students, and some normal student might talking about something that doesn't be understand by rich people. Okay, let's take a simple example. For example, different culture, right? Different culture between races. For example, Malaysia and India, like I always said. These are the simple example that we can talk about cultural context. We inside the classroom we talk in Malay, right? Because that is the main language that we to speak in every um, formal thing in Malaysia. So we speak Malay and also English inside classroom. But when each of the students talk using their own mother tongue, which Chinese speak Chinese and they speak Indian, some of us cannot understand even the teacher itself. That's why we need to communicate using one language. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about cultural barrier between these things. So inside classroom, if they're using their own language, how can we understand what they're talking about? For example, making a group class discussion, right? So Malay people combine with Chinese and Indian, and they want to work together. But what if just these two Chinese people just talking in Chinese between each other? How can they communicate with someone else? Like they want to cooperate, but they cannot understand what they're talking about. Only two of them understand. Same goes with Indian and also Malay. We speak as Malay people, we speak using our own slang, our own accent, or on different kind of language that we use in this new generation. There's a lot of word that we use and show a different kind of meaning, a different kind of level, even though the word is a simple word. Okay, so it will create different kind of understanding. For example, you want to talk about someone is, for example, okay, we want to treat people. We Malay use payung. You know, payung in English is umbrella, right? So umbrella is something that we use to cover ourselves from heat of the sun or from the water of the rain. But in Malay, for Malay people, we use payung to treat other people, but other culture doesn't understand. That's why we need to have exposition under this kind of language. So for this slide, I will tell you about how to prevent miscommunication in classroom in cultural context. So one of the point is embracing cultural awareness, where educators should familiarize themselves with the cultural background of their students. This includes recognizing different communication styles, values, and norms that may influence classroom interaction. For example, inside the classroom, we need to familiarize everyone with each of the students. That's why in primary school we have an introduction where we introduce ourselves, where we live, and what do we like, so that we can understand each other. And also when we more engage in the classroom, we more understand to other students, other people, friends, we can get to know them more well, more better, so that we when we can communicate with them, we can cooperate with them in every kind of situation. And also where we can recognize these different kind of styles and values for other people, this can make classroom more engaging, especially for educators, because educators can also learn of how to engage with this kind of person. What do they like? What kind of thing that they want, that they really attract them to be engaged in the class, to be active inside the classroom. So they will use a lot of things that are related to their own context, cultural context. The second point is cultural adaptation, where educators use teaching resources that reflect a range of cultures. This not only validates student identities, but also promotes inclusivity and reduce misunderstanding. For example, right, if we just learn, we as educators just teach them a lot of about subject, but we also need to teach them about other cultures that exist in this country, in Malaysia, and also other countries outside. So when they exposed to this thing, they can understand, oh, this kind of thing is exist. This is how they talk. This is how they wear a shirt. This is how they're behaving. So they can understand. So when they can reflect this reflection, for example, we make activities that talk about, okay, how do Malay people speak like this? Okay, how do Chinese people speak like this? And how do Indian people speak like this? So when they understand, they learn, they have fun, they can implement them in their social life. For when they go outside from school, outside of the classroom, when they meet other people, they can behave, talk, and create a harmonious society. They doesn't create a misunderstanding. For example, just meeting a stranger that is not same culture as us, and they talk something that will make them irritated, make them annoyed, and they will get misunderstanding and will make a bit of chaos in the situation, and it's not going to be a good thing. So that's why this thing could be implemented inside the classroom so that it can be engaging for them and can teach them how to learn of other culture so that we avoid having a miscommunication and misunderstanding inside classroom with cultural context. So, when we talk about cultural context, it also related to language use in this term of cultural context, where we want to prevent misunderstanding. In cultural misunderstanding can lead to awkward or even offensive situation. Being aware of cultural context help mitigate risks. Are we aware that it's a different culture and different cultural context that can make them a bit of annoyed or irritated in certain of situation. We just understand that certain word might be offensive to them. So we need to aware of this thing and we need to behave ourselves and our manner when we are going to outside in public. For instance, in some culture, it's seen as disrespectful to maintain eye contact with someone of high authority, whereas in other cultures, it's seen as a sign of respect. Michael Icahn, 2003, said this because language is not just a word that we utter from our mouth. It's also something that we do in our daily routine because language is not just word but it also can be a sign, a talk, a way because language can be a lot of ways, a lot of things. It represents let's say, using symbols, sign, picture, and also the gesture. Like we say in this topic where we talk about maintain eye contact with other people. So when they maintain eye contact with other people, we think like just okay, maintaining eye contact is a normal thing. But if for someone with a higher authority, if we lock eye with them, they would think as this person is rude, this person is disrespect me. So we need to behave ourselves. When we know that someone with high authority, when we look at oh, this guy has some as expensive watch, as bringing a suitcase, wearing a coat. This guy, this person might be someone with high authority. So we respect him. We doesn't look into his eye to prevent misunderstanding. It might be not. It might be not in any case. But just to be aware that we doesn't make create any misunderstanding, we doesn't create any bad situation, we just to behave ourselves. So by being culturally aware, individuals can navigate social situations more effectively and foster positive relationship. Yes, so that we can avoid having a ruckus, avoid having a misunderstanding and misjudge with other people, and just create a normal life. And it also shapes communication styles, which is cultural context significantly influence how individuals express themselves. Different cultures have unique norms regarding politeness, formality, and directness. Understanding these differences allow individuals to adapt their communication styles appropriately, fostering better interpersonal interaction and reducing the risk of offense because some certain behavior in different culture have a different sign and different meaning. So when they want to express themselves, it might be different. Because some culture might express themselves by being happy, and but some cultures like for example, they are happy, they might like celebrate it with doing something that they like. Or some person express that they're happy by eating first something that such as they mad. Some person mad, they just let it out, having a rage occurs, they just knock out everything, release it by tears or just shout it out off a cliff. But some person when they mad, they angry, they doesn't show it, they might just silence it and eat a lot that show a different kind of content in different culture. Okay, for a culture like different races, they have a different kind of thing. So between them from norm and formality and how they act and behavior in each of culture, they have difference that allow them to adapt communication, meaning that in society we have a lot of differences and when they're together we understand each other it create a beautiful sign relation between people where we can understand even though they have a different they have a barrier but when we're aware we learn more it create a harmonious society where we understand each other between different culture. For the next part of the presentation is going to be interpersonal context. So, interpersonal context is language refers to the relational and situational factor that influence how communication is understood and interpreted between individuals. Or simple terms, they say that interpersonal context is basically how we interact, the context of how we interact with other people. For example, each different that we interact has a different kind of context. Let's take a simple example like how we talk with friends and how we talk with teachers. You see that when we talk with our friends, right, we have used some things like a lot of different kind of food, a different kind of language that we use that sometimes we make up just to make a joke or something. Like we talk in a very informal way, we make a lot of joke, we laugh a lot, we talk in something with not a straightforward meanings, and that's how we talk with friends. But with teachers, we talk with respect in the formal terms, in such a behave way. We talk something straightforward, not having like a different kind of meaning between our sentence. So it have a different kind of context, like how we talk with our parents, with someone higher than us, with government person, with friends, kids, students has a different kind of context. Let's take a different example for this video. I will show you a video and it will show you an example of context between different individuals. Let's watch the video together.
All right, I'm off. I'll see you after school, okay?
Okay, don't get into trouble now.
Don't worry. Bye. Hey, there you guys are. Wait up.
Morning, dude. Good morning. Sam, you better show up later. Yeah, of course I will. Don't worry about it.
What's going on later?
Donovan is gonna have a rematch with that guy who beat his fish the other day.
Gosh, you guys are obsessed with fish.
Don't worry about it. This is it. I've got to quit. Win or lose, I've got my scout logbook to do.
Oh, really? What badge are you trying to get?
Bicycling. The other week, I managed to cycle the required distance, just like the other scouts. So now, I just got to complete the logbook and I'll get my badge.
That's so cool. Hey, look at the time. We better get to class.
So after watching the video, let's make a little bit of reflective of what happened inside the video. So for the first thing, we are going to talk about relationship. So the boy exhibit a casual and friendly rapport evident in their informal greetings and playful banter. Phrases like "morning dude" and "gosh, you guys are obsessed with fish" suggest a familiarity and comforting among them, indicating that they share a close friendship where teasing is acceptable. You see that in the video, you can see that the boy is literally talking with his friends and having fun, talking a joke, like talking the informal ways. They just having fun, talking and only thing that they know. So like itu, that's why their context is they're talking about fish. So when they're talking about fish, only three of them understand what kind of fish that they are talking about and what kind of context they are actually communicating. So let's talk about the second point, which is shared interest. The discussion about the rematch concerning the fish reflects shared interests that bind the group together. Their obsession with fish is a light-hearted topic that fosters camaraderie, but also hints at deeper competitive dynamic among peers, meaning that that's how connect them. That is what the thing that connect them between his and his friends. And the last thing is contextual influences. The physical settings, which is school and temporal context, morning before class, also influence their communication, the urgency implied by Weaver to get to class. Okay, that talk in the video suggests that while they enjoy the conversation, they were aware of time constraint, which can affect how deeply they engage with each topic. So, even though they talk a lot about fish, they also know that they are also be hurried into the class because if they talk a lot, they will be late to the class. That's what the point of view of him, the boy and his friend. But what about the boy and his sister? We can see that the way he talks to his sister is a kind way, a soft tone, and a really good manner between siblings. So this shows the contrast between him and his sister. It's different between him and his friends, which they talk a lot of teasing, joke, and only they understand is basically about fish, and about sister and how she loves his sister and they kind with each other. So this different context show a different kind of behavior. And that's is the meaning of interpersonal context, which is how we communicate the different contexts between each different people. If we want to relate it with classroom situation in primary school, we have a different kind of interpersonal context between children and children, which is specifically students, student with students, students with teacher. So they need to have their own manner. If they talk with teacher with the same way they talk with their friends, isn't that going to be a disrespectful for the teacher, and it will make misunderstanding, and it will not going to be a good thing. So that's why there's a different kind of behavior, different kind of context that we can talk between each of them. Like the primary school student, they have a different kind of way when they go to school, they talk to their friends and they talk to the teacher. But when they go back home, they talk to their siblings and family, their parents, has a different tone, different way, different gesture, different understanding when they talk using different kind of language. So we want to talk about language is that the importance of interpersonal context in language use. So one of them is to enhance understanding of meaning, which is structure and interpretation of meaning in communication are greatly influenced by interpersonal environment. The relationship between the speaker and this situation environment can affect the non-verbal force of speech of what the speaker hopes to achieve with their word. So while we already know our context with that kind of friend, for example, we have a friend, right? There are different between best friend and just friend. When we talk about best friend, we have a lot of words that we understand each other, like a symbol, like a secret word, like the symbol for something that has a lot of ambiguous meaning. If we talk with just a common friend, we talk something, for example, like stone, right? If we talk about stone, they don't understand what kind of stone we're talking about. Maybe just a normal stone, a stone outside the class. But with me, our best friend, we just talk about one thing, stone. That best friend already understand, I know what kind of stones that is. So basically, when we have an understanding of different meaning, because different kind of perspective, different kind of context between different individuals have a different meaning in certain word or language. So when they understand it, or when we expose to this kind of thing, we can understand that, oh, this guy is talking about something else, but the same word that we use. And our second point is influence relationship dynamics. We're showing that the nature of interpersonal relationship shifts communication style and expectation. We're showing different contexts dictate how individuals interact. Different interpersonal relationships often lead to distinct communication systems, communication styles. For instance, individuals may adopt assertive, passive, aggressive communication style based on their relationship dynamic. For example, they in between the different between the individuals, they have a different kind of thing that happen. For example, if they have each other, they have a different kind of behavior and monotone that they use to implement that they are happy. But if they're mad, they're not in a good relationship, they have a kind of something going on, it can show something's different between their relationship. So that means that we can understand what happened by not just communicating with them, but just seeing them in a different behavior, can understand and how well that kind of person is. For example, we know our friend, right? We have our own context with them. But when something changes, we know, oh, the person something happened, something that touched their mood. Their mood change differently and make them feel mad, unhappy, maybe they feel sad. We can know in just a single glance. That's the end of the video. That's the end of our topic about context. We're talking about the cultural context and also interpersonal context. This is a reference page that I use to find the information about the content in this presentation. This is also another presentation about references that I use. So now we have finally arrived to the final part of the presentation. So a bit of conclusion that in our communication between with the people around us, there's a different kind of context such as situational context, cultural context, and also interpersonal context. It can show a different kind of meaning using language and a different kind of things that happens between certain places and culture. So when we understand this different context, we can understand that other people understand their own perspective, so they doesn't understand other else. But when we expose to it, we can understand someone else other perspective, so they can understand how they live, how they interact, and how they communicate with each other. So, at in the end of this presentation, I will say thank you for watching this video until the very end and have a great day. Thank you very much. See you next time.